Hi everybody, it's Bobby. I'm sorry I'm not able to be there with you all in person tonight, but due to some work commitments, I'm not able to be there. And maybe it's a good thing that I'm not there since I'm getting over a cold, so no need to share any more germs. I'm sure that Luis and Eileen did a more than capable job of going through the other HBR articles that we were assigned, and I'm just going to cover some thoughts and comments that I had on the last two articles and hope that you can contribute some comments and feedback as well of your own. So feel free to go ahead and pause me in this video and stop and talk about them, and I'll have a couple of questions just for you to all think about that could help start the discussion. So thank you, and I'll catch you all next time. Okay, so the next case we're going to take a look at is by Whitney Johnson of Rose Park Advisors. And to sum this up through the lens of their failures, they were trying to start this lifestyle magazine. Initially were really successful, landed in the New York Times, but didn't have a clear plan or strategy to scale and to grow. And because they were working with close friends and had a lot of personal investment and spent so much of their own money to make that magazine possible, because they didn't have clearly defined roles, it became difficult to make a really productive, really profitable company. So because of that, they really destroyed a close friendship that they had with their business partner and lost tons of their own personal investment. So we can see that through this example, if you don't have a clear plan and clear expectations and roles for everyone involved on a project or on a company, then the end result is never certain and usually ends in failure. So in this case, they lost not only their investment, but a close friend as well. At the end of this case, they did take some time to evaluate what they had done and were able to see where they went wrong and some of the flaws that they may have had. And so they were able to improve in future companies and investments by avoiding the mistakes of the past. However, that's a tough lesson to learn at great expense to their own bottom line. So the lessons we learned from this is if we set clear boundaries and let people know our expectations and communicate clearly, then we can avoid that failure that happened in this case, and avoid losing money and time and resources due to the lack of those communications or other kinds of plans in place. However, we can also look back and see that despite failing, failure is sometimes a great thing and can help us to be guided or directed to the ultimate destination we want to go. So if we use failure as a springboard to success, then it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it becomes a better learning experience. So I'll ask a question to you, is that maybe in your situation or at work or in this case, what were some of the warning signs that could have been identified that could have prevented this from happening in the case? And are there any warning signs in companies or teams that you've worked in that could have prevented a failure or a poor outcome? Okay, so we'll move ahead to the next case, and this is from Dave Strubler of Kettering University, and his objective was to climb Mount McKinley with a few of his associates, and so they spent months and weeks trying to prepare to have the right equipment and the right training to climb this 20,000 plus foot mountain. And so as they were starting on their journey, they encountered several obstacles that they had to overcome and ultimately weren't successful in reaching the top of the summit. But they were tricked as they were climbing and experienced a false summit or thinking they were at the top when they really weren't, and often can happen in other business settings and other life adventures that we think we're doing fine and great, but in reality, there's still more to climb and we're not quite at our destination. So that definitely had to be demoralizing to think you were at the top and have nearly 1,000 feet yet to climb. They also faced a lot of life-threatening emergencies, a very harsh and unforgiving environment with negative temperatures and avalanche warnings. And so they really had to navigate all these different environmental factors to be able to be successful. So from this, we can learn that they reached or achieved a level of climbing that they'd never had before, and this was attained by looking back and looking at the positives. So instead of dwelling that they didn't make the summit, they were able to reflect back and see the progress they had made and push themselves further than they ever had before. And I think their preparation was definitely a bonus that helped them to survive and get off the mountain without any injury, is that they were prepared, they had trained, they had the right equipment, and despite all of the things like avalanches and other things happening to prevent them from reaching their goal, they were able to accomplish the more important objective, which was not dying or getting off the mountain in one piece. So from this, we can learn a couple lessons. I think in any setting, you can experience avalanches of any sort, that there's things that pop up that derail our plans, and good leaders can work around those things and find a better way to accomplish the goal and motivate the team to still reach their goals and objectives. And despite not achieving the main or primary objective, we can still be successful even if we are considered a failure. So failure in this sense was doing something that they had never done before, and you could view it as a complete success if they were trying to beat their old climbing accolades or something along those lines. So always appreciate your progress and where you've been, and don't always view that as an instantaneous failure. So just a question to kind of talk about is, maybe in your experience, have you ever experienced a false summit, and how did you react or respond to that setback? And did it inspire you to keep going, or did it set you back and demotivate you from accomplishing your goal?